Okay, this is Chapter 6, Technology and Instruction. The outline is we're going to talk about is background of instructional technology, defining technology's role with a little touch of philosophy, the classification systems, the basic technology tools and learning tools, and authoring tools and programming tools, and specialized instructional applications, along with how to integrate all this within a curriculum and a good planning strategies. The microcomputer, little history. We talked about this in class. Um, Back in the day, it was 125 students to one computer. Now it's probably less than 2.5. Um, we know we got a lot of computers in the schools. So these are the early pioneers of instructional technology. You can see they first started computer assisted instruction by Supes in 1959, and then Kemeny and Kurtz developed a basic language in 1950s at Dartmouth. Blitzer developed Plato, which is a computer based education and communication system. And I only have 15 minutes for these presentations to put them on YouTube, so I can't show you a lot of these things like Plato. But Papert, who studied under a guy named Piaget, which we'll talk about in a minute, developed a logo software, which eventually turned into Legos, Mindstorms, which is very popular with the kids. And this is some of the logo products that are still out there, still being used today. And there's the Terrapin logo software, um, which they don't have a great thing on. Let me take a look at this. They're calling it a modern classic, and it's very integrative, um, interactive software. Um, and it can be, this is what I wanted to show you, it can be interacted in this Lego brick here, which supports Lego robotics and the Mindstorms thing. So this brick is the whole, this is an older looking brick, but it's still very viable nowadays. So and they got the rates and stuff. So um, they're telling us there are six critical issues to planning and implementing, and that's access to hardware. Obviously, got to have a computer, things of that. There will be new roles for teachers and administrators, and those will be ongoing. Um, Teachers and administrators may be computer literate, but new stuff is always coming down the pike, like that software, that 3D software I showed you a couple weeks ago. Integrating the technology into the curriculum, and they're saying especially at the elementary school level, we really want to get them younger than that at the preschool level. Um, and we are doing that. Our preschool level teacher education programs at the universities all over America are integrating technology and training those teacher candidates to be proficient in teaching the youngsters in that level all about technology. Then the quality and quantity of the software. Um, I know I said that backwards, but are we getting the best software, and are we getting enough of it, or are we getting too much of it? So, as an administrator, that's where you have to go in and look at these things, um, or have a really good person to do it for you. But ultimately, it's going to rest on your shoulders, as well as the teacher preparation and training, which we talked about in Chapter 5, and the effects of and outcomes of the use of technology, which is going to be ultimately the children, so or the students rather, all rest on your shoulders. Basic philosophy, Dewey and Piaget and Papert, who designed the logo stuff, studied under Piaget. They were pragmatists, hands-on learning, and they also liked experimental learning. And then Bloom and Gagne were more behaviorists. They like they would love all the drill and kill software that's out there right now, but everything had to be measured through a test. So they believe that problem solving and higher order thinking skills through an assessment of a test would do that. Then we have Vygotsky, who developed constructionism philosophy, and that's where students build upon every knowledge. They build upon each knowledge step, and until they reach a goal. So they start at the bottom, they just build up and up. It's called scaffolding. And then Papert developed these micro worlds with his logo software. And again, he studied under Piaget. So they have the little graphic down here, which is very nice. Classification systems, they have the tutor mode, the tool mode, and the 2T mode. And we're just talking about tutoring software here. So, they're saying Taylor did the trichotomy of this tutor tool in 2T, and it's as good as any that exists. Well, I would tend to disagree with that, but it is out there, and these tutoring softwares tend to be more remedial, and students don't like them. They want more interactive software. We had a long discussion over this in class. Sorry, come back here. There we go. Again, the basic technology tools, all this stuff: word processing, spreadsheets, databases, all that stuff. Specialized tool software would be the things like the 3D software I showed you a couple weeks ago. And then ebooks are very popular, but there's still some debate over that, or whether students are getting more reading out of ebooks or regular books. The jury's still out on that. I personally don't feel there's any problem with it. Again, the learning tools, drill and practice. We've talked about tutorials. We've talked about simulations. Are things that are out there like our role-playing games, RPGs, stuff like that students like. They can build their own little avatars, which is just a graphic figure of them, and go through some distant land and learn things. Then we have instructional games and problem solving and moves. And they like to combine entertainment and gamesmanship with the learning. And students seem to really gravitate towards that type of thing, where it's more of a competition to learn. But then the jury's still out on that, as if they are actually learning what they need to know by this. So I tend to think they do if it's done right, and that's a whole nother lecture, so we'll move on. The basic programming and authoring languages, we don't use that stuff anymore as digital citizens, because we don't have to worry about basic language and stuff like that, and coding and all that type of thing, because we have these WYSIWYG programs out there, which is WYSIWYG stands for what you see is what you get, programs out there that do all this stuff for us. So we just don't have to worry about this stuff anymore. But it's good to have someone around that knows about it, I can tell you that. And we have the integrated learning systems, and Microsoft Office is a classic example of that. Integrated meaning there's more things within, more programs within a particular software or software package. So, you have the PowerPoint, the Word, the Excel, all that stuff within the integrated learning system. Multimedia, again, that's going to be stuff like Adobe Dreamweaver and things like that, which, Adobe Dreamweaver is pretty easy to use nowadays, because, again, it's what you see is what you get. There's really very little basic coding knowledge that you need to know to do this stuff. And of course, making movies and things like that, you do need to know how to do that. Maybe work with Movie Maker and Microsoft Word or iMovie and Mac. Then you have the digital data communications, which we talked about, and of course, you know what distance learning is. I'm not going to go over that. Curriculum integration and planning. This is a really well designed slide with their graphic down here, but it's really talking about um, we have a well designed curriculum and we add technology to it. A good educator is going to design a good curriculum and lesson plans and so forth and so on before they integrate technology in it. We don't want technology in it just for technology's sake. So we have to design our curriculum accordingly, and we're getting a lot better at that. Finally, the three considerations for integration and planning with regard to curriculum. Um, we have to make sure that everybody knows what's going on, has a basic understanding and knowledge of computer use. We really don't have to worry about that much anymore. The kids, like I said, they come out of the womb with an iPod, or iPhone in their face, getting recorded, and they're playing with them, at early as age 1 and some younger than that. So this is a technological world now, so we don't have to worry about that much. Um, Planning is an issue. We have to make sure that integration and planning, instructional applications um, are well provided to the teaching staff and the people who are going to implement them. So training is essential. Good training is essential, and we talked about that. How to do that in past lectures, and then developing a process that is long term is going to be key too, and that's going to be rest on your shoulders as administrators. Um, you have to assess and look at the alternatives and be able to discern whether this software and technology that you're going to put in your schools, if you become a principal or a superintendent or a grant writer or policymaker or whatever, um, you have to make sure that this stuff is going to be feasible, you're getting the most bang for your buck, and it's cost effective. And that's the financial side, but also effective for your students, for the students who are the ultimate stakeholders and consumers of the softwares and hardwares that you're going to be putting in front of them. Okay, so um, that's a process that everybody should be a part of, particularly teachers and administrators. Um, so you have to think about that when you're going to start implementing technology into the curriculum. Okay, that's it for now. Leave some comments. Talk to you soon.